Welcome to the C# Programmer Zambia. In this video, we're going to be looking at arrays. So if you're new to my channel, I would like you to subscribe for more great content. And if you've been watching my videos and you've enjoyed them, I would also like you to subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell icon to get instant notifications on all my uploads. So without wasting much of your time, let's dive right into it.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
So we have our code blocks open here, and the basic structure of our program is right here. But then in order for us to understand anything, in order for us to understand any structure in programming, we firstly need to know the layout. So let me just open this. We have our definition and okay, great. We have our definition and some examples there. So an array is used to store a collection of data, but it may be useful to think of an array as a collection of variables that are of the same type. So to explain this, I'm going to give you an example. Variables of the same type are simply something like, let's say we have int. We've got 4 variables. Let's say we've got int a, b, c, and d. So instead of us declaring these variables like this and then assigning them values like a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, c is equal to 30, it's already getting boring. You might have so many variables of the same type that you might want to declare and assign values to, but this is not the best way. The best way is to use arrays. So let's go back to our definition here. So firstly, in order for you to declare an array, so an array is also like a variable, but it's just that that variable is storing other variables in it. So each variable is going to have an index, that you're going to use to access it. So I'm going to explain that just in a few minutes. Let's just look at our layout. How do we declare arrays? So firstly, we start with our data type. So I guess you can see we have an example of our array here, and then we've got some detailed example, if that's what I can call it. So our data type comes first. So I guess you can see we've got int there, and then we've got the second thing, which is our identifier, just like a variable. So our identifier is in this case is my array, and then we've got the number of values that the array is going to store. So this might be declared or not, so you can leave this blank if you want to, but then it means that this array is going to store as much variables as you're going to put in it. But then when you define the number of values, you're going to notice that, sorry, just a moment. So you're going to notice that you have to make sure the values that are in the curly brackets here are up to this number. So I guess you've already seen that this is where we have our values inside the curly brackets. So this is an example of an array. So you've got the data type, the identifier, the square brackets, which are defining the length of your array, and then you've got your values in the curly brackets. So it might be useful to think of an array as a table of some sort, but then just a simple array is sort of something with multiple columns but one row. But then we've got multi-dimensional arrays, which we're going to cover in the next video, because here I'm just trying to give you an introduction to arrays so that you get the whole idea behind arrays. So I'm obviously going to give an in-depth explanation even on multidimensional arrays. Now, let's say we have an array of integer data type, and its name is this array, and it's storing up to 5 values. Okay, so 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Now, we've got the values here, and then we've got the index of each value. So arrays start counting from 0. Okay, you're going to notice that in programming it's a very common thing. Counting starts from 0. Okay, so we've got 0 up to you know wherever you can go. So right now we've got 5 values. So we're gonna have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in order for you to call out the third value, okay, you're going to notice that the third value is holding the index number of 2. So in order for you to call out the third value, which is 30, you're going to call out 2. All right, because 2 is the third variable, is the third value in here. Okay, now let's try to get practical. So let's just get rid of this. Let's declare an array. What are we going to name an array? What are we going to name our array? Okay, anything. And this time it's going to hold floats. So we're going to say float ARR. Okay, and then it's going to hold just, let's say, 6 or anything. Yeah, six values. And we have got our assignment operator, our brackets there. Let's just terminate in advance. Okay, so here we're going to have some values. Let's say 1, let's say okay, 1.5. So we separate the values using a comma. 2.6. Do I even have to think of the numbers? Let me just, yeah, comma. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we have anything like that, and we have something like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. Okay, so 1.5 is 0, 2.6 is 1, 6.5 is 2. So you go on counting just like that. As long as you start from 0, you're going to be very correct. So in order for us to output, let's say we want to output 6.5. Okay, what are we going to do? Firstly, we're going to have to know its index. So what is 6.5's index? That is 2. That's right. So we simply say cout, and we call the array. So the array's name is ARR. Okay, so that's the array's name. And then in order for us to call out the value, we should know its index, and the index should be in the square brackets. So we say cout the identifier of the array, and then we've got our square brackets, and inside our square brackets is where we're going to write the index of what we want to output. So the index is 2 because we want to output 6.5. So we simply terminate there and we run our program. So you're going to notice that it's going to output 6.5. So you might also just want to so I guess you can see our program displays 6.5 here. Now you might want to output all the values. Okay, let's say our array is holding 20 values. Instead of us typing cout, cout, we need to have a cout statement for each array. Or maybe let's say we need to do something like we add a space. Okay, with a space, and this would just be long. Okay, it will just be unnecessary code. All right, so the aim of knowing the things that we did before this, let's say for loops, in order for them to help us in the future, like right now. Okay, so if we wanted to display all these values, we would go for the for loop as our base choice. Maybe you might choose some other things, but the for loop is the main thing that we use here. So we're simply going to say for. Okay, so if you haven't looked at for loops, you can simply check out my C++, basic C++ playlist, okay, on my channel. You can actually just click the tag on top there, okay, in the top right corner. So we're gonna say for int I. So it doesn't always have to be I, but then I know there's some people who actually ask, like, let's say, why do we always or why do most people call the variable inside the for loop I? Okay, so I, it's just basic. It stands for index. Okay, so it's not a keyword or it's not a key later, but then it's just sensible because I, you know, the first letter of index is I. Okay, but then we can actually change this. Let's say z or anything. Okay, so let's say z is equal to 0 and semicolon. From there we say sorry, we've already defined it there. So we say z is less than. So remember that our counting is starting from 0, so it will be safe to say is less than 6. Okay, because if we count from 0, our sixth value here will be having an index of 5. So we do that, and then we simply say z plus plus. Okay, so from there we have our curly brackets. Now in this case we're going to have something like cout. We want to display all our values. Okay, so cout arr, and inside arr we're going to have z. Okay, so this z is going to be used to iterate. This for loop is going to be used to iterate through our array. Okay, so it means that the value of z is increasing by 1. So the first time this for loop runs, the value of z is going to be equal to 0. So it's going to display something like let me show this using let me just show this using a comment. So the first time it runs, it's going to be the same as saying arr. Oh, sorry, comments. Okay, yeah, something like that. So arr, and in between there, 0. Okay. Second time it runs, we're gonna have something like arr and arr1. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste it there as well. arr2. Okay, so it's going to go on just like that. All right, so let's try to run our program and then see what we're going to have. So F9, and let's just wait for it to run. Okay, so I guess you can see what happens here. So we've got 1.5, 2 point, you know, but then the problem is we actually didn't include any space in between the variables. So we can simply add our end line. Okay, so we simply say end line. All right, like that, and let's run our program again. So children. Okay, so I guess you can see that is what happens. So arr0, 1.5, arr1, 2.6. So I guess you can see how we can use our for loop in order for us to display the values of our array. Okay, so for loops are going to be very useful in this series that we've studied on arrays. So just take a quick recap on for loops if you've forgotten the principles of the for loop. Now we can also have an array without, or let's say our array already has values, but then want to change a certain value. Okay, so we can simply say, let me just get rid of this. Okay, so we can simply say ARR. So we know that the fourth value has got an index of 3 because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, and it happens to be 5.6. So we can change the value of 5.6 to any other float number of our choice. Okay, so we can simply say ARR 3 is equal to 9.8, for example. Okay, so if we say cout ARR 3, it's going to output the new value that we've given it. So let's just run, and we should have 9.8 as our display. So I guess you can see what happens. So even after this, you might try to you might want to output all the values of your array. The value has changed. Okay, the value of the fourth value here has changed to 9.8 for good. Okay, so even if you try to use your for loop to display all the values, you're going to find that it's the value of 5.6 will no longer be there, but then we're going to have 9.8. Okay, so those are some of the things that you can do with for loops. We're actually going to do more and more. We should have, I think, 4 more videos on for loops, so that you guys can get a deep understanding on for loops, whether it's for your personal programming or your exams. You're going to understand for loops the best. So thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.